What is good, Brotherhood? Martin, your male confidence and masculinity coach here, and I'm honored to be doing this live with my friend and fellow coach, Kieran. Kieran, what's up, man?
Hey Martin, good to be with you. Thanks for that intro. Honored.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah, guys. So we just wanted to jump on this quick live here as the year is starting, and obviously there's a lot of questions floating around for most men, whether you're in a relationship or single, but especially if you're single, how am I going to date during COVID? How am I going to connect with women? How is my mental health going to be affected? How's my confidence going to be affected? And since Kieran is a dating coach himself and he has a similar holistic approach to mine, we thought that we'd hop on this live and discuss those things a bit and give you guys some insight, give you guys some value. So, Kieran, I'll just pass the ball over to you, my friend.
Nice one. Okay, yeah, guys, good to be with you. So, yeah, like Martin said, I am a dating coach and looking to be more holistic than that as well. So, currently our brand is GOST, that is getting our shit together. So the
Like
idea
that.
is, yeah, we'll have some problems down the line with that swearing, but
Mm,
yeah. So it's I understand. I just happen to understand the dating stuff really well. I first learned this sort of 16 years ago. So the last 3, 4 years, 5 years, it's just really been sort of down pat. I've got it. I've got it now.
mm,
Like if you've been going to
yeah,
the gym 12 years, you understand it.
yeah,
You've got it.
right.
And so my idea is I want to help my viewers get that. I want to get that knowledge from my head into theirs,
Mm,
and then we grow together. On as you can see, I'm not Mr. Gym guy. Like I've got like fitness goals that I want to reach, finance goals, get my diet in better shape. So there's all these different things, and it's I think basically, I mean, because our secular society, for right or for wrong, as the sort of church has less and less importance in Western people's lives, I think
yeah,
that there is a space for people like you and I to come along
yeah.
and say, look, guys, like, what about the how? We all know what we can do in technological advances, but what's the how? Like, how are we gonna
Mm,
live a good life? And so we need sort of institutions might not be the right word, but we need outlets that can say, okay, well, look, this is what we think of
yeah.
psychology or nutrition. So that's
Mm,
it.
mm,
So that's the idea.
great.
Yeah, I'm seeing clients. So we're only new. We've only just begun. So our YouTube numbers are still small. But yeah, we're putting out videos, getting clients. It's great. I'm really excited to be doing something that I'm passionate about. And that, yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things you want to get sorted. You want to have some choice in the dating area. You want
For
to
sure, man. For
definitely.
sure. I
Have
would,
you?
before we continue, I would just love our viewers right now, guys. If you're watching live, can you just drop us hashtag live and let us know where you're watching from? Because we will also be answering questions live, whether that's about your dating, your confidence, about your communication with your partner or partners. So feel free to drop a comment if you're watching live. Let us know where you're watching from. And if you're watching the recording, just drop a hashtag recording and your thoughts about what we're discussing here.
Yeah, and like I say, I mean, it's that thing of still having a small audience. Every question you throw in, it's going to get answered. So if anything comes up, anything you want to know, we mentioned we want to talk about dating during COVID, and we've got
Right.
some. I've got a couple of off the wall strategies for that.
Yeah.
Um,
Nice.
and if there's a call in the background. And we were talking about, like you mentioned before the call, Martin, that
Mhm.
one of the big things that you're doing, maybe we can hop straight into this now,
Yeah.
is you mentioned
Enjoy.
that word genuineness. And now this
Yeah.
is one of those things, it's so important of getting the real you out. And it's
Yeah.
attractive, feel better, but it's one of the most difficult to define aspects of this whole thing. So could you sort of talk me through that a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Absolutely. So, you talked about how I like how you use the example of the church because we kind of used to have culture. We used to have this like one singular institution that would like define how dating is done, how relationships are done. You meet the girl from from a family with the same kind of wealth, class, status, and if the parents approve, you get married. and that's the first time you ever have sex, and the first time you do this and that and that, right? Now things obviously, oh, we have someone tuning in from the DC area. What's up, man? Awesome. Obviously you see that things are getting fragmented, right? Our culture is shifting a lot, and what we're seeing now is that there was this big wave of people teaching pickup and game, right? Which was this very overly rational sort of approach to female psychology and how do you spark attraction and this and that. And we've seen a lot of people take on that strategy, and then we've seen the backlash, or more like the aftermath of that, where you are constantly pretending to be someone else. You're constantly using strategies. You're constantly in your head thinking about the next thing to say, the next way to pretend, the next technique to make a certain impression. And in that process, you don't feel like you're being yourself. You don't feel like your actual essence as a person is being communicated. And so one, it's not very fulfilling, right? It might be fun for the first few times, but it loses fulfillment very quickly. And two, when the relationship goes to the next level, and now you're not only sleeping with this girl or flirting with this girl, but now you're like dating her, and you're like connecting on an intimate level, like, you know, emotional soul to soul connection. It's like, what the fuck do I do now? Because all I learned was in my head. And so, yeah, I wanted to bring another approach to this, where instead of learning more techniques, you just remove the fear and the shame and the bullshit, the lies, that even little voice in your head that's telling you don't deserve to be happy, or you don't deserve to be considered attractive. You just take that away, and that way your natural, authentic vibe, which is attractive, everyone has that natural confidence, the natural charisma, and energy comes to the surface.
I think that's brilliant, because it's especially like what you said about like pickup or dating. Pickup we're talking about really, and game.
Yeah.
That sort of the content that was being put out, like you say, was very sort of analytical, very logical,
Yeah.
very like this secret, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, and throughout time, as this thing has evolved, it's deeper and deeper, hasn't it? And like eventually now, where guys like you and I are talking to our clients, and it's like it's taken on a CBT element as well, right? A cognitive behavioral therapy, and it's like, well,
Right.
what's rooted? I mean, you mentioned like getting out of your own way there, and it's and a lot of that is, I mean, you could have, let's say you've got a paradigm in your mind that is, there's something wrong with me going up to a girl that I fancy, and right, and like I'm going to bother her, like that might come back to you were 6 years old, and the bully at school said like, you're ugly. Like, what are you doing talking to a girl like you? And it's stuck with you. And it's like, and if we're going to really make sort of genuine change in these guys' life, you have to sort of, if there's something in there like that, you've got to dig it out. And then, but once it becomes conscious, once they're consciously aware of it, then they can say, oh yeah, that is nothing. Why am I being held back? Well, of course it's fine if I go up. And you just sort of slowly, I don't even know if desensitize yourself is the right word, because it's you're sort of, it's a hurdle more that you're just overcoming. And yeah, I think that's great. I mean, do you do any, just on genuineness again, do you do any sort of specific drills for that, or is that too analytical? Or do you do, how would you go about it? Let's say, because I've had this recently, a client came to me and I sort of said to him, you're not being genuine enough. And I think it's like, I think it's a really typical problem, right? And it's just, you're not expressing yourself.
Yes.
And I've got different techniques that I use to try and get down to that. But have you got anything that's your go-to in that circumstance?
Yeah, man, absolutely. And it's funny you say that, because I agree, it's difficult to get a grasp on something so abstract, you know, but it's like, yeah, go approach 10 women a day, and like that's the way to get better at this tangible result. But how do you get better at being more authentic? And you know, obviously there's a process to this. I have my own coaching methodology when I get on calls with people, and I dig really deep with really precise questions on what is that trauma, what is that limiting belief, what is that pain that's holding them back. So obviously that's a big component. But apart from that, some very simple things that people can do is just getting into the habit of expressing their emotions sincerely. So if you're watching this live right now and you're like, okay, I'm seeing myself there. Yeah, I'm definitely more in my head and I don't always speak my emotions. I don't always speak my truth
Yeah.
to sound a bit new agey there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
what you can do is start expressing your emotions to the closest to you, to those closest to you. Like, when was the last time that you told your parents, "Hey, mom, I love you. Dad, I love you,"
Yeah. Yeah.
or you told
Yeah.
your sibling, your sister, your brother, your best friend, like, "Yo, dude, I really appreciate you. I really appreciate this thing you're doing for me, this support." Or how about that old conflict that you've had in your family that's just kind of been like lingering around for so long, just going like unspoken, untouched, but it's there in the air and it's tense and it's awkward. How about you bring that to you bring that to the surface and you voice it and you seek a solution to it coming from love and understanding,
Because it's like a
right?
splinter. It's there somewhere in the relationship, and
Yeah,
if you and
exactly.
sometimes I think people make that mistake of just like, well, let sleeping dogs lie, and maybe sometimes you should, but sometimes if it's something that's in the way of your relationship, then yeah,
Yeah,
you should put that splinter out. I think it's fascinating what you're saying about, yeah, say that to your parents, your immediate family. But I think you could take that example. I mean, go to your, say, auntie. If you're like, say,
yeah,
if you're watching this now and you're a younger guy, um, like I remember a certain point where I started being genuine to my uncles and aunties, right? Because before that, it's just you meet up with them at Christmas or whatever, and they say, "Oh, how are you? How are you getting on, Kieran?" And you say, "Well, okay." And you've got, it's like a script, and so I'm at university and I'm doing this, and it is fine. Thank you for asking. It is good.
yeah,
It's just
yeah,
you're on this script, and it's like they're just humans. Like it doesn't necessarily, once you're an adult, it doesn't necessarily
yeah,
matter their opinion of you. You can just express it and let the
yeah,
chips fall where they may, and you'll be more satisfied. Um,
yes,
yeah, but it's an interesting process, isn't it? Just like finding those limiting beliefs, and some limiting beliefs are rational. Like you can't just flap
yeah,
your arms and try and fly. That won't work. But you can. But there are, I mean, there are certain things that maybe someone like you or I won't worry about. And the average
yeah,
person, I think, is walking around because look, I can go into a club and I'm happily engaged, so I don't cheat or anything like that. But
hmm,
were I to be single, were tomorrow she to dump me, you can go into a club and it wouldn't look like we're doing something that much different to the
right,
average guy, but it just
mm,
hits differently. It's just that it's
yeah,
just the lack of genuineness is just so universal that when you're not like that, you stand out so much in such an attractive way. So that's it.
yeah, yeah, man, totally. Well, I think what happens very often is that people think that it's about this one thing. They think like it's specifically about me talking to women, it's specifically about me getting nervous in social environments. It's me about not being a party person, not being a dancer, but it's always a part of a larger pattern. I like to say the way you do one thing is the way you do everything, right? And so you're absolutely right. You can start with when somebody asks you, "How are you?" It's your uncle, your aunt, your friend, your fucking university teacher. How about you answer honestly?
Yeah,
Because that's kind of this. I don't know if it's discouraged, but it's not very common in our culture, right? Like, how are you? I'm good. I'm fine. How about you say like, "Hey, yeah, not too bad, but I'm a bit tired today," or "I've actually been feeling a bit anxious today," and you'll be surprised how people actually open up to that. They're like, "Oh, well, actually, I've been feeling a bit anxious recently. What have you been feeling anxious about?" "Oh, the lockdown. Oh, me too. Oh my God." Boom. And there's a connection because it's not about these rational structures and manipulating people into liking you, but rather just opening yourself up. I don't like the word vulnerable that much because it's kind of implies that you're gonna be like you're like showing your belly and you're gonna be stabbed in it or something, like being vulnerable. But I like the word transparent, like just being more transparent and more honest, you feel? And so I think that's a great thing you said there, like just, expressing your feelings, your love, your appreciation to family, and just being really honest with when people ask how are you and having those honest, sincere conversations. Kieran, I'll be very curious, man. When it comes to you as a dating coach, obviously we're living through some difficult and weird times nowadays, and I think you guys in the UK have one of the strictest lockdowns right now.
I think
How
so.
do you
Yeah.
help guys date in this authentic and genuine manner? between these conditions?
Well, okay, so we've had it sort of gradients, right? And so the lockdown came in and blah blah blah, and it's just been ratcheted up, and just now we're at a point where I think we're still in tier 4. We might be going into tier 5. I don't pay attention to it because I just don't. But I know the rough general rules, and my friends tell me, but I'm not watching the news to watch COVID.
Right.
Yeah, I don't need that in my head. But like, but so we're incredibly strict now on what we can do. It's literally the only things open are essential services, right? So no pubs, no restaurants, no haircuts, no nothing like that, right?
Right.
So it's online. I mean, there are no meetups. I mean, if 30 people were to gather outside somewhere and have a drink, the police would definitely come, right? And it's like, and just walking around, there's just none of that. That's not happening at all. And you know, the Brits, they're kind of like, there is a little bit of like, well, we're all in this together, like, and so people are quite compliant with it, and fair enough. And so it is online. It's going to be online, right? So if you are, and look, I mean, we're all, especially if you're on your own, guy or girl, if you're on your own, it's a lonely time. It really is. And so I think let's say we're talking mainly to guys. So I think if you're a guy, you want to, if it was me, I'd be getting on those platforms, those dating apps. And what you want to do there is you want to get the best possible photos. And there's people that you can go to find out exactly what you should be doing there. Just to give you like a sort of quick overview, you want just very clear photos of you smiling, basically. That's it. I mean, like, and have a sort of original bio if you can. I mean, think about it. You can spend some time on it, and just again try and give a little bit of your personality out. And I mean, but look, we know the drawbacks of those dating apps as well. I mean, we've done the study, and it is that sort of 80-20 rule. So it's sort of like the top 20% of guys are doing sort of madness on there, and the rest of us, I put myself and the rest of us, looks wise, are sort of not. But I mean, it's you've just got to do what you can do, right? I mean, it's another thing that is sort of a bit zany, and it comes with its conditions. You might not want to do this. But there's something like Omegle or chat roulette. I know, like you've got to have your cursor like over the button that says like cancel next person, because there's children on there and there's guys on there, and it's just like, so you cancel. But if you're at home and it is a way to socialize, and it's just like a random girl, and it's like boom, you just click until you get to a girl who looks like she's roughly your age or whatever, and then
which platform is that?
Omegle. So again, it comes with a condition, right? It's like this. It sounds like sort of zany advice, and it is because look, you might just not want your face on associated with a website like that. I mean, there's always someone could be recording it. They're probably not going to be, but there's always that issue. So it's just take it at your own. If you want to do it. But it does place you in a sort of intimate, okay, like I'm basically on a Zoom date with a girl right now, and then when that ends, I can just have another one. And it's so if you want to keep the old mouth going and keep the old like social etiquette up, then it's a good way of doing that. And yeah, so it's just about getting shopping. You just got to be a bit creative. I mean, what else can you do? It's that you can't. You've got online. That's what you've got, and so that means dating apps. You can maybe you want to do like a funny thing, like all right, every day I'm going to put. I don't have a business on it, but every day I'm going to put out a funny video on Instagram and Facebook, and just say, here you go, guys. I know everyone's bored on lockdown, so here's a couple of minutes of me like playing with the dog or whatever, like doing something funny, and you know that like. You could build that into a little something that can get a little buzz about it, and then you can engage with people through social media that way, stuff like that.
Absolutely, man.
I mean, we're in ridiculously restrictive, odd, unusual, atypical times. And so if you're lonely enough, I wouldn't even say if you're lonely enough. If I was single, I would do this stuff because it's like, what's the downside?
Cool, man. I like that. You know, I haven't heard the idea with Omegle before, but you know, I always told my guys when it came to dating, and obviously dating is a big part of confidence and masculinity, to don't focus too much on going out there and hunting for women, right?
No.
Talk to women when you're on your way to the grocery store. Talk to them when you're out in the park. Talk to them when you're out and about and you see someone attractive or someone that you find interesting. And talk to them in places where you go anyways. Like if you go to the gym and you meet someone at the gym, obviously you guys have something in common. If you go to a yoga class, a Pilates class, a cooking class, a language class, a language exchange, boom, again, you got some common interests. And the thing is, two little tricks I'll add on to what you said is that these things that nowadays are happening online, right?
Yeah.
So that's another thing that you can do, that you can either complain and bitch about how things are right now, or you can kind of adapt to it and realize like, okay, these events are happening online now. And in many of those events, you actually do talk to people who are taking part, the Zoom breakouts room where you get to talk to someone and connect with them. So that's great. That's already a great opportunity.
Absolutely. And look, Omegle is sort of, if you're aware of the website, you're probably like, what the fuck, why is he saying that? Because it's not that there are guys on there, getting busy with themselves. Like it's not the most wholesome site. I know, but that's why you got to give your mouse over the cursor, like canceling them straight away. But but like on the other side, there are just sort of regular live stream events, regular hangouts. I'm old now. I'm in my 30s. So what's the latest one? Does it begin with D? And everyone's like, I don't know. What are like the latest sort of web chat where you can chat with your friends and video and Discord? Is it Discord?
There's one called House Party. There's an app called House Party.
Yeah. Well, there is Discord as well, but there's loads.
There's Discord as well.
Yeah.
There's
and so like if you're
Clubhouse as well.
Sorry, I spoke over you there. What were you saying?
That's fine, man. I was saying that, you have Discord, you have Clubhouse, and you even have, you have Discord, you have House Party, and you even have Clubhouse.
Yeah, right. Clubhouse I've not heard of, but that sounds exactly. And it's just find these things out. But you've got to be a bit productive. I mean, like when times are tough, and we are in tough times, you've got to be a bit proactive. You've got like the old ways aren't going to work now. You've got to do something else, and it's exciting. It's great, like because
it is exciting,
because no one knows exactly how to navigate through this. So
yeah, man. Another thing I would say is that I think a lot of guys, the same way that they can feel ashamed about connecting with women when they're out and about, when they're doing things, and they're like, oh, this is so weird, this is so creepy that I'm approaching a woman, I'm talking to a stranger, and the street is so bad. They can, and then you overcome that, and that's how I met my girlfriend. I guess there's a high chance that that's how you met your fiance, maybe.
We were Tinder, so not much. I worked out.
Yeah, the online version of that. Yeah, but actually, I have a really good friend of mine named Benny who runs this group called Lover and a Fighter, and he has an amazing free course on online dating, but not through dating apps. So using Facebook and using Instagram simply to approach women in the same way. And what he does is that on both Instagram and Facebook, you can just go to your location, right? You can see like who's in my area on Facebook, who's in my area on Instagram, and see who catches your attention, who's an interesting person to connect with, both girls and guys, by the way, to spice up your social life, right? And when you find someone that you actually find interesting, you add them as friends or you follow them, and then you send them a video message, because that's really what we're missing. We're missing that face-to-face personal conversation. So you send them a video message just saying like, hey, Laura, I just found your profile and I thought it looked interesting. And I saw that we both live here and we both like this. So anyway, I just wanted to wish you an awesome day. Yeah. Done. And you reach out and create that connection. And then because you're actually doing them a favor, if they're not interested, they're not going to answer. No big deal, right? You wasted 5 to 10 seconds of your life. Spent 5-10 seconds of your life. But if they do answer, man, you already know you just added value to their day. You just brought back the human connection that they were missing. And then where that goes from there, if it goes into an online date, if you guys are going to meet each other's friends, whatever, you guys are going to date, that's open.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's good. You did that to me because I was messaging you and you sent back an audio file. And I was like, that's good. But it's true though, isn't it? My girlfriend or fiance, she she's got a job where people contact her quite a lot, recruiters, about, okay, would you like to work for this? And she got one message from one recruiter, and it was a video call, versus all the other times it's just calls or LinkedIn messages. And it really stood out. She was like, okay, well, wow, okay, right, I'm paying attention to that, paying attention to that company. And it just, I mean, especially if you did that, let's say, like, if you did exactly that, you went online, you found someone on Instagram who looked really cool, let's say it's a girl, and you thought, wow, like, I mean, I'd be interested in finding out more about her. And then you sent her like a little video like that, and it was just like very light, very sort of, like, you're not asking anything of her, and maybe just a little, you throw in a little joke or something, some little funny joke, whatever. It doesn't need to be anything. And then, I mean, that will come across well. Like, if you do that a few times, that will definitely work. Like, eventually.
Absolutely, man.
But it's yeah, you're right. That's a great way of doing it.
Yeah, man. Shout out to my buddy Benny. I will tag his group in the description. And yeah, man, I feel like Omegle is a very creative way of doing it, and that's what's exciting about this time. You know, you can look at it from a perspective of a victim, like, oh fuck, everything sucks now. The lockdown, the businesses, everything is shut down. Oh my god, it's so bad. But I look at this as a great time of transformation, where it's truly just a test for us. It's a test how much you can adapt. Because actually Charles Darwin said the strongest survive, right? That was his theory of evolution. But his definition of strongest was that?
Fittest, like you say, it's the fittest. Like
fittest, sorry, the fittest. Maybe this is the fittest. Yeah, thank you for correcting me, man. Just shows that how far my education goes, right? The fittest, the strongest. So he said the fittest survive, right? But actually what he meant by that, and this is official, the species that adapt the quickest are the ones that survive. So that's what's happening right now. Like, guys who are willing to adapt and be creative with their approach to socializing, to dating, to meeting friends, will, you will stand out. People will be like, oh my God, I'm so grateful this person reached out to me because I'm missing this connection. I can connect with them. Fuck yeah, great. And actually, this is the same in business. This has been happening to my business. Instead of being like, oh my God, I'm a victim. People are having their incomes like erased by the pandemic and whatnot. I'm not gonna, nobody's gonna spend on confidence coaching nowadays. Instead, I've chose to just keep going and adapt and address the issues that are coming up. And guess what? There's more people than ever being confronted with their issues. And so they do want to work on coaching. And it's the same with dating. You will think that there's women who don't want to date whatsoever because of the pandemic, but it's more than, I don't want to say possible, this is definitely the case. They feel like they need that connection more than ever. And there's very few men who are breaking through the barrier.
Cool. No, I 100% agree. I 100% agree. And it's, yeah, exactly. Look, girls who are in their 20s and are single are sitting at home bored out their mind, man. So go after it. But I mean, I've got to come off now, Martin, or in a couple of minutes. But what I wanted to leave your viewers with is just to say, I think get the balance right in your head, like mentally. So like we've all seen those posts on LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn's terrible for it, but like Facebook, social media, whatever. Like, I actually spent my lockdown like really good, and like I lost 5 stone and blah blah blah. And it's like, so there's that side, and then there's the other side, which is like, oh, you sat on the couch, you got addicted to a drug, and you drank and you ate crap and blah blah blah. And we all know you don't want to do that, right? But what I'm saying is, don't beat yourself up if you didn't run a marathon every other week during lockdown, and like and you don't have anything to post on social media. Don't worry about that. We're in hard times. Just keep yourself ticking over. Try and keep upbeat if you can. If you want a little down moment, that's completely fine because it's tough times. But like Martin's saying, there's so much opportunity out here, and Martin has had more success than ever during this time. So it's like it is there. It is there. So
definitely is. For sure, brother. Well, thanks so much for hopping on, Kieran. I will let you go now, man. Feel free to log off. I do have a question here that I'm going to answer, so I think I might stay on for another 30 seconds here.
All right, very good. I will. I'll drop out then. Listen, it's been a real pleasure, Martin, and I hope we can do it again.
Thank you, bro. Yes, we'll connect again soon, man. Peace out. Bye-bye.
Thank you, mate. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Cool, cool.
How do I?
Boom. So thanks to Kieran once again. And we've got a question that I wanted to answer before I hop off here for my friend Andres, who's watching from Mexico. And for those of you that are watching the recording, because this is something that I've seen being asked very often. And it's, how sincere can you get when expressing intention on dating? Is there a level where it becomes too intense and must be avoided, or we must be honest no matter what it is? Or it just depends on how you say it? Right, Andres, great question, man. Look, first thing I would say is that you need to be extremely honest to yourself about dating. Who do you truly want to date? Do you want to date any woman that is just like decent looking, right? Any woman who's not unattractive, any woman who looks basically healthy? Or do you have specific criteria? Do you have a certain match, a certain vibe, a certain energy that you're looking for, certain qualities in a woman that you're looking for? And if that's what you're looking for, make sure that they go beyond the surface. They go beyond just, she needs to be blonde and tall and look like this and look like that. They need to be more about how is her personality, how are her interests, how is her humor, how are her life goals and life visions and aspirations, right? And so be honest to yourself about that first. And secondly, communicate that honestly. So when you approach or connect with a woman, don't be like, hey, yeah, do you want to go on a date? Because yeah, that can be intimidating. Like, oh, a date? Okay, well, that comes with pressure. That comes with expectations. That comes with all these extra shit that people usually don't need in their lives, right? But if instead labeling it a date, labeling it this, labeling it that, you tell her that she just looked interesting and you want to get to know her better, and you take it step by step, finding out whether she's a right match for you, you know that that cannot go wrong. Because if she's not the right match, you let her go. It's all good. If she is, then absolutely be sincere with your intention of dating and feel no shame, no fear, but also give her the best of you and hold her to that standard that you're looking for. So with that, guys, if you have any more questions, you can drop them in the comments and I will get to them after the live. Once again, thanks for Kieran for jumping in. Thanks for all of you for tuning in live. And on the recording, remember, you win some, you lose some, but always stay authentic, stay awesome. Peace out.